Shimming should occur directly behind each hinge location on the door unit. Begin by taking an accurate measurement of each hinge location on the side of the door. Our installer has simplified the task by placing a piece of tape on his 6-foot level to indicate each hinge location. Next, simply transfer those measurements to the hinge side rough opening stud with a pencil mark as a reference point. If your rough opening stud happens to be bowed as this one is, don't worry, the shims will take care of the problem. On the opposite stud, use the same measurements as you did before for the top and bottom pencil marks. However, the center mark should be made where the doorknob will be located. This is known as the strike location. Next, remove your Sure Fit shims from their packaging. Notice how the base plates have a thin end and a thick end. Also, one side is smooth and the other side has an X-brace for support. Now it's time to mount the 6 base plates, 3 on each side of the rough opening studs where you made your pencil marks. The X-bracing goes against the stud and the thin end of the shim points away from the direction the door opens. The base plates can be attached with nails, screws, or staples. On the hinge side of the rough opening, insert one shim into each of the base plates. Be certain to insert the thin end of the shim into the thin end of the base plate. Using a level, slide the shims in or out to achieve plumb. Take your time. You want to make certain the unit is perfectly plumb or straight. Next, drive a nail, screw, or staple through the entire shim unit and into the stud. This will secure the shim unit in place. Our next step is to remove any excess shim. As our installer is doing here, use a utility knife to score and remove any excess shim on both sides of the stud. The shims on the opposite side will be inserted later. We are now ready to begin installing the door unit. Begin by placing the door unit into the rough opening and sliding it tightly against the pre-shimmed hinge side stud. While keeping it tight against the shims, nail 2 or 3 nails into the door casing on the hinge side to keep the unit in place. With the door only partially secured, carefully check to determine if the gap or reveal between the door itself and the door jamb is the same on the top and both sides. If it is, place one nail on the left and right side of the top door casing and one nail on the top and bottom of the door casing on the strike side of the unit. You will finish nailing them off later. Moving back to the inside of the door unit, you will now be inserting the remaining 3 shims into their base plates on the opposite stud. If a shim is fully inserted and fails to fill the gap between the stud and the jamb, pull it out. Score it approximately 2 inches from the end with a utility knife and snap off the thin end. Reinsert the thick portion into the base plate to fill the gap between the stud and jamb. Repeat this step if necessary. With each shim in place, score any excess shim and remove as our installer demonstrates. Now insert the male side of the split jamb into the female side for a snug fit. Next, nail the casing on all 3 sides. Then nail a 2-inch finishing nail through the door jamb and shims into the rough opening stud. Finally, finish nailing off the casing on the opposite side of the door unit and your installation is complete.